Last week I visited the Patek Philippe Rare Handcrafts exhibition, held at the historic Patek Philippe Salon, right in the center of Geneva. This exhibition happens every year, and if you're into watches, craftsmanship, or generally interested in art, sooner or later you'll probably hear about it. But before we even started, we were told something very clearly. No filming of the rooms, no filming of the staff, no filming of the corridors inside the building. Only close-ups of the watches were allowed, and only on a phone. At one point I was even asked to delete a few clips where parts of the rooms had been captured accidentally. We were told that this was done for security reasons, so nobody would know how the building is organized inside, which honestly felt a bit funny. I can't really imagine a luxury watch heist happening right in the middle of Geneva. But who am I to question Swiss security procedures? And all of that made the experience feel even more surreal. Fingerprint access, security doors, cars everywhere. So, since I couldn't film most of the interior, I'll use the footage from Patek Philippe's own website. I mean, they filmed it themselves, so I guess that's okay. Once I entered this exhibition, I immediately understood why people become fascinated by this world. Because these aren't really the watches anymore. They're tiny pieces of art. Some watches used enameling, where layers of powdered glass are fired multiple times to create those deep colors on the dial. Others feature gemsetting, detailed hand engraving, or guilloché patterns. The most surprising for me was probably the wood marquetry. Entire images made from hundreds of microscopic pieces of wood assembled together like miniature puzzles. Seeing these techniques up close made me realize these objects are not really about telling time anymore. They're more like a mix of engineering, craftsmanship, and decorative art. And the crazy thing is that many of these crafts are slowly disappearing. Very few artisans are still capable of doing this work entirely by hand. We could also try to paint dials ourselves. And when it was my turn, it took only 15 seconds for everybody to realize that I'm very bad at this. Meanwhile, the artisan, the master, who was showing us how to do it, was calmly painting microscopic details like it was nothing. And what impressed me the most wasn't even the skill, it was how humble he was. Soft-spoken, patient, calm, no ego at all, which made the contrast with many of the visitors feel even stranger. Not all, but many of the visitors on that day were a little bit off-putting. They wore kind of luxury, screaming outfits, were pretentious in their behavior. It looked like they're trying very hard to look important. There are actually two completely different worlds inside this exhibition. One world is craftsmanship, patience, beauty, skill, human dedication. And the other world is performance, status, showing off, pretending, trying to impress strangers. And honestly, those two things have very little to do with one another. Although people who can afford these extremely beautiful things often behave like that. The truly impressive part is often invisible. Not the price, not the brand, not the exclusivity, but the human being sitting quietly at a desk for 20 years learning how to paint a flower on a watch dial smaller than a coin. So, should you visit the Patek Philippe Rare Handcrafts exhibition? Absolutely yes. If you appreciate art, craftsmanship, and mastery, this exhibition is genuinely incredible. But you also need to tolerate the other side of this world, the snobbishness, the pretentiousness, and the people trying a little too hard to look very important. These are two completely different things, which often go hand in hand together. But if you can't separate one from another, the experience becomes truly beautiful.